Hey guys, this is Andre Touchy Feely. You listen to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Let's get weird.
This is the Shark, Anthony Avalou. You listen to Verbal Scrap.
This is Justin the Raw Deal Basement. You listen to Verbal Scrap.
This is Nan Fan, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. I'm a fighter. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fight.
Hey, this is Dave Hirschbein, MMA Gold, and you're listening to Verbal Scrap.
I've worked so hard to do what I got to do in here. I took so much blood for this sport. I took so much pain, everything for the sport.
Hey, y'all, this is East Johnston. You're listening to SRMMA.com Verbal Scrap. Stay tuned. They got some good stuff coming up.
Back here on the Verbal Scrap Podcast, we're talking to Scott and Band of Legions Requiem. Going to be playing a big show in October.
Hell yeah, brother.
I wanted to ask you guys about the metal scene as a whole in Sacramento. You know, some people that I talk to, they complain about Sacramento music. Some people, you know, they thrive in being one of the bands that try and take that scene forward. Where do you guys see yourself as?
Sacramento is, it fluctuates. Really weird, and you know, you have these ups and downs. Our good friends in Gary Busey, Amber Alert, they just got signed to what is it, Unique?
Yep, and now they're Alter Beast.
They're Alter Beast. Go check them out. We love those guys.
Conducting from the Grave.
Conducting from the Grave, yeah, awesome. And it's a lot of you know what it was. I think a lot of these bands were their goal was, hey, get a label to notice us, and hopefully we'll get out of this, you know, this incestuous shithole, and
which is fine.
The truth is that, you know, you have to do it on your own.
Yeah, a
lot of these labels are looking for self-established bands, and you know, exactly. You realize you just have to do it on your own. So we really rely on our friends, our family, you know, friends are family now, and to come out and have fun with us, and you know, we do what we do, but when it comes down to it, we really have to, you know, stick together.
Yeah, we are do-it-yourself band.
Yeah, that's something I was going to ask you guys. You know, you guys have an interesting perspective on the music scene. What do you think about? You want self-sustainability, you know, autonomy for the band, but what about the guys that go out and make their own independent records? What's the level between, you know, being a self-sufficient kind of band and growing your own fan base, and the next step between bands that like do independent things as far as record releases and stuff like that?
Well, you know, right now it's hard to say, because the last band I played in, that's where they're at, and right now where we are, I mean, we took it like, and we tried to have someone help us, like not like help us write or anything like that, but like in the recording process, and then you're like, oh, that just sucked. So then Steve and I end up having to learn all this stuff by ourselves, and then we record everything. We mix everything, we master everything, and then we put it out ourselves. Ben, our drummer, is doing the artwork. We're promoting,
which is
all
a pretty
shows.
sick logo.
Thank you.
It's pretty awesome. We have to Photoshop us some Verbal Scrap stuff we could put on a T-shirt or something, you know, get that going. But you were saying about, you know, what mastering, mixing.
Oh well, I'm just saying it's like that's where it has to be now, because we threw some money away trying to have someone else do it, and we're like, no, that was crap, dude. Now we do everything ourselves. We're in control of everything we do.
Now, here's something that I find as, you know, being a major positive, learning all the stuff for yourself, being self-sufficient. You learn the knowledge it takes to produce those things. But the time that it takes to do all the small individual things that you need to do, at what point in time in music, you know, because music is its own thing. Where's there balancing at? Where do you want to spend most of your time? Where do you want to keep most of your time free?
You know, a big thing is I think that everyone has to realize is that music is just like any other art. It's an expression of, you know, your creative, your soul almost, and there's no stopping it. Anything that gets in the way, you're going to learn how to overcome that. You know, if it's, you know, recording, or if it's putting out, you know, putting a label on something and making an artwork for your album, you're going to find a way to get your stuff out there.
You need thick skin. You need really thick skin. You got to be able to not sleep a lot, because that's what we do. You just can't be broken. All these other bands fall apart because they break. They just can't handle it.
I thought you said broke for a second, and then I remember like, well, no, you can be broke.
Yeah, totally.
We can't be
we
broken.
Can be broke.
We can be broke. Yeah.
You got to take your broke and go with it.
Yeah.
So something else I was going to ask you guys. Traveling, is that something that you guys want to do as far as, you know, big tours?
That's what I want to do.
If you get to that point, do you want to do a U.S. type thing? Are you interested in the stuff that, you know, these huge bands travel around the world and festivals like that? Or
that was my goal.
Yeah, with touring, you got to remember that recouping losses is something that's vital. If you go out on tour, that's, I mean, if you're sleeping, even considering sleeping out of a van, that's still costly. So we would have to plan on having merch available. We would have to plan on having, some sort of savings or do a crowdfund, people that want to see us. That'd be cool. But touring is definitely getting stuff across the country. I mean, we have fans in fucking Germany. I mean, we've got weird fans at all sorts of places. So
India, Thailand.
Yeah.
It's like,
so
what? Brazil now because of you. That's our MMA fitness. I was like, oh
we
my
got
God.
our Brazil fans,
and those Brazilians will love you. I tell you, they will love you.
Then they'll kick the shit out of you.
They'll shank you if you don't watch out. Don't disrespect their women, their country. You'll be fine. I wanted to ask you guys about Into the Mouth of Madness because we played that for our fans. Tell us more about the song, the sound, what you guys are hoping for, because I think it's an epic track. It's got a little bit of everything you want. It's got a nice mellow breakdown, something to soothe you, and that's bam, right back into it. So what were you guys trying to do with that one?
We wanted to make something different than anything else we've done.
Yep. I think that's every song, too.
Yeah.
We really, every time we hear it, I think even if we went back and recorded it, it would be slightly different because we're constantly changing and hearing all these new things. We don't just sit and listen to one band.
No.
There's a few things I wanted to get into before we finish with more music from you guys. I wanted to ask you sports. You both happened to mention the Mayweather-Alvarez boxing match to me. For you guys that don't know, Mayweather was able to pull out a majority decision because of the 114-114 draw that was posted by one particular judge who also did the Bradley Pacquiao fight.
Yeah.
But
coincidence.
Just without talking about the fight, how it played out, the hype going into it. How did that boost your excitement level? What were you thinking might happen in a matchup like this?
I think there's always going to be hype for a Mayweather fight.
Oh,
there has to be, because there's somebody behind a Mayweather fight saying, "Look, we need to make money off of this shit."
Well, here's a question before we move forward. Do you guys watch that fight rooting for a Mayweather, or are you watching the fight because you're hoping Mayweather loses?
Well, you know what? Actually,
those are the two camps, really. That's the only reason you watch a Mayweather fight.
At first, I was that. No, I was like, oh, dude, he talks so much crap, blah, 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 blah. And then I watch him, and I mean, I know everyone else is boring, blah, blah, all this stuff. The guy is a tactician. Yeah. I will give it to him. He is perfection in there. His technique, he gives you the smallest target possible, that shoulder roll. Even when, Carnelo's throwing all those punches, none of them are landing in a spot that's going to score you points.
Two major things about the fight that I thought were epic. Okay. One, at one point in time, I'm not sure what round it was, but later on in the rounds, Mayweather dodges a punch and kind of looks at the cameras like, "Hey," and starts fighting again.
He winked right at me.
What? Are you serious? He's so confident. He's like,
"Oh yeah,
how you doing?" And the second thing is, at one point in time, Alvarez was trying to hit him with some body shots and was hitting ropes.
Yep.
I was like, wait, we're not talking about Mayweather ducking and dodging with his head. He was hitting ropes.
Yep.
You can't. How do you dodge your body that
Are you
way?
saying he's fast, or are you saying this was rigged?
I'm not sure. I don't know about boxing. But the point is, that fight, a lot of people said it didn't live up, obviously. And what do you think about Mayweather being the guy he is, having the record he is, having the hype he is, but he's not what most fans consider a finisher, and we tend to gravitate.
No, and I think he's not a finisher because he really does pick and choose who he fights.
Well, yeah, but this was actually a good opponent, actually. There's other fights where you're like, really? This kid's way young and all this stuff, but Carnelo at least had some wins. He had a lot of wins. I know, and you can have a padded career in boxing, but he was actually headlining. Cards.
I mean, he was fighting grown men when he was 15.
Yeah.
So he's not a chump.
No.
And he couldn't even
16
come close
pounds,
to Mayweather.
16 pounds over Mayweather, and was bigger. You could see it in the fight. He was physically bigger than Mayweather. Mayweather just picked him apart like he does everybody.
Now,
he's that good.
I heard, I was listening to something. I think it was ESPN or one of their top boxing analysts. He was talking about, they brought up to him the death of boxing or how it might be dying, and he proposed, it's not dying. There's a lot of really top-ranked guys out there, and I think that's true. But the best point that I heard brought up was promoters. There's only a certain amount of promoters that are big-name promoters, and that means you only hear about a certain amount of guys. So there might be.
That's it.
It's like you might not. here's a perfect example. You might not know everything about MMA, but today you could turn on the TV on Wednesday, Saturday, check Fox, check whatever, and learn about a new crop of guys you may have never known before.
That's right.
Right now in boxing, you're only hearing about the big guys. The reasons why no one knows who else Mayweather's going to fight right now is because who else have you seen? Who do you see on TV? Who do you not have to pay $70 to watch?
Yeah, Lennox Lewis is not fighting anymore.
The last thing before we move on, moving forward, are you hoping that Mayweather finishes his career undefeated? Or are you hoping that someone knocks him off?
No, you know what? I do want him to go undefeated. And the only reason I say this is because every fighter, I shouldn't say every fighter, but a majority of fighters were all dicks. They were all dicks when they fought. They were the bad guys. When they retire, we love them. We love them. We like Tyson when I was a kid bit a man's ear off, and now everyone's like, look at Tyson. He's on the TV. I want him to do well. I want him to do well.
He's got a new sitcom.
Hangover 4 is going to be great.
George Foreman used to be a mean guy who knocked the piss out of people. He would try to kill people in that ring.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
And now he's a mean griller.
I will eat those burgers all day.
He's a nice guy now, right?
One last thing I wanted to ask you about fighting. Coming up in December, UFC is going to be coming back to Sacramento.
Yes.
Big card, a lot of guys.
Card.
Pettis will be on the card. Connor's on the card. Obviously, Faber's on the card.
Yep.
What do you think about the UFC finally coming back to Sacramento? Because that last time I saw them was UFC 73.
Oh, sure.
Stacked. And it was stacked, by the way.
Yeah,
Guerra, Anderson Silva. I saw them all.
Yeah.
Point being, coming back to Sacramento, what do you think about the card, how they're putting it together right now?
Oh, it's beautiful. I got Condit on there. Uncle Creepy's gonna be on that. Ian McCall. I mean, it's a lot of the small guys, but they're getting some big guys on there too. And I like the small fighters. I think they put on a hell of a show. I think this is a stacked card, and it's a Fox show. It's Fox 9 or whatever that's gonna be. And I think the last fight that was in Sacramento was that. I think it was the WEC card. Well, that was like
50 or 51 or something.
Yeah, it was Aldo Faber. I think that was the last one that was in Sacramento.
That went well.
Yeah, not for Sac fans. Well, I like Aldo. So
I like Aldo.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to get back to the music before we finish with you guys. So Oakland, coming up. How, as far as music, how long in advance do you guys have your shows, and where do you guys post information? Obviously, like Reverb, Facebook. What do you guys got?
Both.
Yeah.
Like Legion, what is it? Facebook?
Legion's Requiem Band?
Yes.
At Facebook?
Yeah.
Or slash face? What?
Yeah, it's one of those.
One of those slashes. We'll get all the links for you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, as far as the schedule, how often do you guys want to play as opposed to how often do you play?
Oh, we'd play every day if we could. But realistically, we try not to schedule too many things because we know people aren't going to make every show, and we don't want to have one show be, get some sort of priority over the other. So, we'll schedule.
Yeah, while we're in Sacramento, you can't just have like 1,000 shows in Sacramento. But if we go around, I'll play all these other places in surrounding cities. That way I'm not, telling my fans and my friends like, hey, you should come see me here. I know you just saw me like 3 days ago, but you should come see me at this one too,
Well, as far as new content, new material, new songs and stuff like that, what do you guys have on the horizons that fans might be able to check out?
Oh,
this is the shitstorm.
Yeah.
Is that the title of your next album?
Shitstorm. No, Strapping Young Lad already took that. But yeah.
You guys could try This Is Up.
Yeah. See? No, we got a bunch of stuff coming out. We want to have an EP coming out for you guys soon and stuff. We just finished the demo, put 4 songs on that. It's free. So anyone who wants to check it out, check us out,
Well, I want to give you a shout, just like everybody else, to give thank yous, shout-outs, and tell people, what might be the biggest thing you guys are searching for as far as your careers. Are you looking to get more people out there, sponsors? What do you guys need?
Everything.
Send in donations for these hungry kids.
Yes.
Well, yeah, go ahead. Thanks, shout-outs, anybody you'd like to talk to.
Hey, I want to thank anybody who's ever supported us in any which way. That's, whether it's SRMMA, whether it's, all our friends, our family, everybody who comes out, anyone who said, hey, man, that was an awesome beat or that was an awesome riff. Thanks for coming out watching us headbang and letting us live our dream.
Yeah, man, we make a point to stand around. We don't just walk away from a show. We drink with our...
Well, you can check out more at the Screams of Metal 2 Tour, October 20th in Oakland. Check out Legion's Requiem on Facebook and at Reverb Nation for more, and check out srmma.com for more of the Verbal Scrap Podcast. Getting back to the local MMA scene as far as California is concerned, West Coast Fighting 7 matchups that are announced, a rematch between Scott Hands of Steel Smith and Mark Matthews for the middleweight title. For you guys that didn't have an opportunity to check out their previous matchup, you can find more coverage right now at srmma.com. Just go on our search bar on our right sidebar, where you can also translate our website in 60 different languages. So for you folks that aren't the best English readers, you can read it in German, in Latin, in Spanish, whatever you need. But WFC 7 also has Max Griffin versus Andre Feely. For you guys that haven't had any exposure to these two, you got to check out srmma.com now, get the full details. Also in WFC 7, Nick Christie going to be taking on Juan Caicedo in an epic matchup. Lightweight champion Anthony Avila is going to be taking on Jesse Bowen in defense of his lightweight title. Also for WFC 7, Tom Cook will be taking on Lamar Reed. Granson Clark will be taking on Myron Smith. And Dre Mitchell will also be taking on Joe 9 Lives Neal. We had an opportunity to catch up with 9 Lives after his Dragon House professional debut victory. And we talked to him about Dre Mitchell and working with West Coast Fighting. Let's now hear Joe 9 Lives Neal.
What's up, everybody? This is Joe 9 Lives Neal, and you're listening to Verbal Scrap.
It's Jay Watt from srmma.com. We're here on the Verbal Scrap podcast talking to Joe 9 Lives Neal, who's going to be competing upcoming at West Coast Fighting. How you doing today, my friend?
Oh, man, I'm great, man. Just getting ready for this big fight.
Well, that's what we were going to talk about first and foremost, but I wanted to get back to your Dragon House win. For our fans that didn't know, you're able to pull out a big professional debut victory by TKO. We talked personally on the phone, but for our fans that didn't get a chance to hear, what was that like for you, going into the debut of a whole new career as far as your life is concerned, and to get a victory the way you did? What was that like for you?
Oh, man, it was very exciting. I think the most exciting part was at weigh-ins, just it was a different feel, and that was my first time to drop in the 135. So it was so many things new to me. I was just taking it all in, I was just excited and happy.
Well, Dragon House over there in the Bay Area, obviously you had to have a wealth of fans there. What was the support like for you, and how did it feel to get a win and give those fans what they were looking forward to?
Oh, man, it was pretty crazy because I think I probably had the biggest crowd there, and for so much people to come and support me throughout my career and to where I'm at now, made my professional debut. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go put on a great fight, and that's what I did in front of them.
Well, you had told me that you felt the TKO came as sort of a culmination of all your amateur skills coming together at the right time in the right way. Can you describe that a little bit more for our fans?
Yeah, usually when I fight, I'm very well conservative when I fight. I try to pick my opponents apart. Not too aggressive. Just take my punches at the right time, kick at the right time. But going into this fight, I feel like I finally got a chance to take all my training and go be who I am, the fighter that I am. And that's aggressive, smart, powerful, fast. My jiu-jitsu game at the purple belt, everything. I feel like I got to use all my tools finally, and it showed.
Well, when your wealth of amateur experience, being a state champion, etc., what do you feel like was one of your either a matchup that was one of your most tough, difficult matchups, or is there any certain event that you went to that you feel like you took the most from as a learning experience? Is there any one or two moments you can look back on and say those were very eye-opening or learning moments for me?
I think honestly, I take something from all my fights, from all my amateur fights. And that's because, everybody's different. Every fighter's different. Every fighter brings something different to the table. So just having 9 amateur fights, it gave me the opportunity to go through different styles and go through, fighting different personalities in the ring, in the cage. And I just think that helped me a lot. I got to fight a lot of jiu-jitsu people, a lot of stand-up people, a lot of wrestlers. So I just learned from all of them all together.
Well, you're going to be competing at West Coast 7 on November 16th. What does it mean to you to get involved with the guys like West Coast? They're still young in their career, but they've been doing a lot of things right, and a lot of fighters have been able to springboard their careers and put on big shows for West Coast and take it places. What are you hoping to gain from these guys?
Well, I'm very excited that West Coast wanted me to fight on their event, especially like this just being my second pro fight. So it just shows me, they support me as well, and I'm just glad they gave me this opportunity to fight Dre Mitchell. And like I say, I know they're coming up. At the end of the day, it's like they have the best fighters in California right now fighting for them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to get this opportunity to fight in front of a big crowd and for West Coast, and especially for the Feely and Max Payne fight, I think it's awesome, man. It's gonna be great.
Well, like you said, you're competing against Dre Mitchell, who at West Coast 6, he won the KO of the night, and it looked really impressive in his debut as well. Have you seen any of his other fights? And if not, what do you think about him as an opponent, this being your second fight, his second pro fight? It seems like a good matchup for West Coast and for both of you guys, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just watched one of his fights, and that was the one for West Coast, his pro debut. And he looks like a strong fighter, and he looks fast. I have a lot of respect for him, and at the end of the day, like I said, it's just going to be a great fight for us and for West Coast. And it's early in our careers, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm ready to fight whoever, and it looked like he's ready to fight whoever, and one of us just has to blossom. So, and that's just what it comes down to.
We have a few fun questions for some of our guests. I noticed that a lot of athletes would like to be musicians. A lot of musicians would like to be athletes. I wanted to ask you, if you were a musician, what would be your genre of music, and what would your stage name be if you could pick one?
Oh, man, that's kind of... I'll probably have to stick to 9 Lives as my stage name.
I like it. I like it.
And I'm not too sure about the other one.
Not sure what music you'd like to play. Well, what kind of music do you like to listen to? How does Joe 9 Lives Neal kick back and relax?
Different varieties. It depends what kind of mood I'm in, But it's probably R&B. I probably want to sing to the ladies.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, which brings me into my next question. I only had 2 more for you. We were kind of asking a lot of fighters this the past few weeks. And I'm not sure if you're single. I'm not sure if you got a woman, if she'd be mad. But if you are single, what's something that if a honey brings your way, we can't date if she does this or looks like this or acts like this? What is the one thing that Joe 9 Lives Neal does not accept?
One thing. Let's see, this one thing might be a big thing. Just attitudes. Yeah.
Like a bad attitude, a crazy girl? What you mean?
I like to argue.
Oh, gotcha. You're not much of the arguing type?
Nah, man, I'm trying to stay focused, and I'm not trying to get involved in all that arguing, he say, she say, what's going on. So,
We're not on the Kardashian show. Last fun thing I wanted to ask you, if you could have any superpower in the world, and I'll give you my example. Mine would be teleportation because I hate traveling. So if I could just snap my fingers and be at a Joe 9 Lives Neal fight, I would rather do that than drive there. What would be your superpower if you could choose, and what would you use your superpower for?
If I had a superpower, it would probably be to fly. I think that's like awesome, man, for somebody to fly wherever they want to fly and go wherever they want to go. Just be on your own and on your own time at the end of the day.
Well, back to fighting. West Coast Fighting 7, obviously going to be taking place in November. What's training like, knowing that you're going to go against a guy who definitely wants to bring you the striking game? I mean, obviously, you're most likely training in all aspects, but knowing that your opponent is definitely a seasoned striker and wants to do that, is that something you're aware of coming into this matchup?
Yeah, I'm prepared for all aspects of the game. If it's stand-up, if it's wrestling, if it's jiu-jitsu, I'm ready for everything. And like I just say, it is what it is. Whatever the fight comes to, I'm happy with it. I'll take it anywhere. So, like I said, I just want to bring West Coast a great fight. I don't want it to be boring. I don't want it, fans waiting for what's going to happen next. I want everybody to be on their toes like it's intense. You know, everybody's screaming, everybody's going crazy. That's the type of fight I'm looking for.
Well, last MMA question I was going to ask you today. A lot of guys do things different ways as far as their careers and how they space together fights. Obviously, you got a big one coming up in November, but as far as the time in between your fights, obviously staying healthy, how often are you looking to compete, and what are you looking to do as far as 2014 is concerned to keep your professional career blossoming?
So just staying focused in the gym, eating right, just try not to party so much, and just continuing to learn. Grow into the sport. There's so much more to learn. There's never a never-ending level of learning. So I think that's the great part about MMA and about just staying focused and inside the gym and always just trying to get knowledge from everything.
Well, do you have any thank yous or shout-outs or any other comments you'd like to make before we let you go, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I'm big time. Yes, I want to just thank West Coast for giving me this opportunity for fighting on their show November 16th. And I want to give a special shout-out to Chris Dean, BJJ, my head coach, and our entire team, and James Buds Boxing, and my strength and conditioning coach. And to all my sponsors, I want to say thank you, Fight Logic, Color Sports, Lena Egg Whites, Orbit, and Rose Motors, and thank you. And I want to give a big shout out to SRMMA for continuing to follow up with me and do great articles on me. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. It's always good to see you compete. November 16th, you're going to be competing again. Joe 9 Labs Neal taking on Dre the Lion Mitchell. Got to get your tickets at westcoastfighting.com and check out srma.com for more. I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to it, Joe.
You got it, man. Y'all have a good day, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.
Find SRMMA's Verbal Scrap podcast on iTunes and at srmma.com.